Thank you. Okay, cool. Thanks. Good morning. Good morning. I don't know if I can follow the rock, paper, scissors thing. That was pretty exciting. So I'm going to now put you guys to sleep maybe after all that. But that was really amazing exercise. That was awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming out. And thank you, Creative Mornings. Thank you, Kira and Mario for inviting me and putting this all together and really continuing the dialogue here in Baltimore and really inviting the interesting designers and artists and makers, together like this. I look out here and I see a lot of friendly faces, and I see a lot of more interesting people that should be up here than me. So I'm going to be as frank about that as possible. Like the crowd out here is actually what excites me, and not really what I do, but all the faces and all the things that you guys do. But anyways, thank you guys for that. Super special thanks for Will and James for doing this and allowing this to happen and to be one of your first events. So I'm really grateful for that, and I'm so happy about the space, and congratulations to you guys. These guys are one of the most sincere people in Baltimore doing work in the city, and I'm going to put them on the spot a little bit. One of the things that we did when we first got into this space was really just, looking at leadership from these guys. I mean, I would say, while we were the architects of the space, they were the visionaries. They're the ones that said, hey, this space could be the new home for what they want this to be for Baltimore, for what they do as a profession and as makers, and particularly a new home for their staff and their people. So they started it off. We were here, and they said, hey, what can this be? And the passion and what they've done here is beyond what we ever did at this space. And this is just, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see. It's a little dark, but I just wanted to give you a quick little mini tour of what this space looked like before. This is actually one of my favorite photos of Will and his crew, just kind of one of the first times they kind of walked through here and was just in awe of the space. If you look at the space as it is, you might say, hey, there's really not, it feels like it hasn't really changed much, and it truly, it really didn't. We really wanted to celebrate the space as it really was, and all the textures, and really kind of accept, everything that this thing had in terms of its history and all the textures and all the sort of layers that the space had. And so, that for us, that was like inspiring. And so, we working in collaboration with them, it was really just kind of helping us to say, hey, we can accept what we have here. We can really, embrace it. And they were right on board with that notion. I mean, the space. These are just some of the spaces before we even touched the ground, and beautiful as they are, by themselves. We were right in the middle of COVID when we started to kind of develop the idea of the space. Looking at where they work now and what kind of space they have, that they're actually still working in now. But it gave us this opportunity to come out and still be working with Will and his team in person, and so it was just a great process. And we were with them to kind of say, hey, what is the most important things about this space that they want us to be, and they wanted it to be a place that they'd love to be, not only for you guys and for their patrons and customers and clients, but also for their staff and for their crew. And we wanted the space to be inspiring. We wanted a place that they can call home and call, be proud of and have and just come to work knowing that you're in a celebrated space, and a place that they can actually create products in a very fast and an efficient way, and a place that we look at it as, that when we walked into the space initially, it was already a sacred place to us, So, these are just images of what those things, or that sort of vision wanted to be and wanted to look like. So, but again, just wanted to give a quick nod to you guys, and thanks for that. And it was a pleasure to be a small part of this journey. So I was given the word ethos, and there was probably many ways to kind of attack that word and to start thinking about that. But before maybe I get into that, I probably, maybe for those that don't know us or know what we do, maybe just a quick introduction to who we are. You know, I'm nothing without my partner. Like the PI is not here today. If she was here today, she'd probably do a better job than me presenting the work and what we do. But you know, I share this with her. I share this with our studio and the stuff that we do and the things that we talk about. We started the company in 2010. We're about the same age as Will and their company, and since then we've grown to be a little bit bigger. You know, we actually don't want to be a large sort of shop or space, company. We really wanted to kind of make sure that we're a very nimble and focused studio, and so we've grown and we're continuing to grow, but in a very, I guess, strategic way, in a very, in a pace that we feel allows us to still focus on the quality of work and the type of work that we do and the clients that we work with. Our scale of projects kind of range throughout different types of projects. We do, to the smallest of things. This was an installation we did with some collaborating architects for Light City. This was actually the first Light City that we created with a team of other designers. And it was just a moment to say, hey, it allows us to come to the city and really kind of think about engaging in projects that are not necessarily architecture, not necessarily building, and this was one of our favorite projects that we had done. When we had Light City, we missed that festival, and we hope we can see that again here soon. We did that actually the second year around. We did a light installation. We thought, we did lights, on the ground, and we said, hey, let's make our lives harder and let's put lights in the water. So we put 30,000, linear feet of lights in the water, and they were controlled by an algorithm of a program that actually would react to music and sound, and would actually even animate. Again, we collaborated with a number of designers and for this one as well. This was a light installation that we did just recently in East Baltimore, and again, just showing the scale of projects that we do that are less architectural, I guess, more urban, more sort of scalar, and more art driven. And I'm just going to kind of cruise through these. These are projects that sort of stay within that scale and kind of look at it less, again, architectural and more about structure and gathering in space and just kind of small architecture. Project that we're doing for Port Covington. We also work at scales at a master planning level. We're doing a project right now for an organization called City of Refuge in South Baltimore. This is just a look at the master planning of that industrial sort of context. They also have a very sort of beautiful sort of existing warehouse building that they're looking to change into a workforce programming, as well as new housing. So we're creating a new housing sort of structure there, and creating more sort of expansion to their program. We also, again, Baltimore is filled with sort of historic structures, right? So we really like to to accept that and dive into it very much. And this is actually a sort of a exploratory project for Port Covington, looking at the old building there and Schuster building there, and we're looking at how we can actually take that building and actually make it sort of kind of porous again, and kind of create this idea of program that could flow in and out of an old building. So, again, just looking at these old structures, looking at architecture as urban design, really seeing how building and site kind of combine and become one. This was a competition project that we did in Korea. One of the first projects that we did coming back into Baltimore when we actually moved here in 2003, and we worked here for a various number of studios, and then we went to California for a little while and came back in 2010 and started our company. And one of the first projects we did was an actual design build project for Creative Alliance. This was if you guys have been to the Creative Alliance or you know it very well, this is the first project that we actually did as a architect as well as a contractor. You know, I remember laying those boards by hand and trying to get those things on the wall. So it's a really cool little tiny space. We also did the lobby there, but it was our first opportunity to do a project for, you know, community organization, and it was really just that kind of probably opened up a lot of where our passion is now as to the type of clients and people that we work with now currently. So if you guys are foodie people, we did Our House. This is a project that we did kind of, I think it was around the 2014. It was kind of one of our sort of first bigger projects at the time, and one of our first bigger sort of hospitality type projects. From there, I think we became the food hall architect. We got a lot of calls to do a lot of places to do food, and we were happy about that. So, you know, another project that we did was Broadway Market. We went to that, you know, we had to look at a sort of a re-envisioning of that building, and try to figure out how to sort of open up that building again and bring program back to that building. So that was one of our projects just after that. We also do small residential projects. This is actually just a small bathroom that we did for a very close client of ours. If you guys are into Korean tacos, you should go to Toki Taco. That's a place that we worked on or designed, and we actually, the owners of Local Fries is the owner of this business as well. So if you haven't been there, you need to go there. It's a great place. You know, interior fit outs. We do a lot of interior fit outs. This is another food hall in Deco. This is called Deco in Wilmington, Delaware. You know, one of the things that we learned coming back from California, working in California, was the trade of development and construction. So, you know, a lot of our work is not necessarily architectural only. We do a lot of development, we do a lot of construction. So this was actually one of our first projects that we did, where we purchased land, we financed the project, we built it, we designed it, we built it, and then we put it back to market. So we really want to try to do that more and more, and I'll talk about what we're doing to expand that part of our business in our work. Multifamily has been a big space for us lately. This is just a 40-unit project that we just completed in Little Italy. So housing has always been our passion. We've always wanted to do a lot of housing, you know, even as young designers and in school. So once we started to get the clients to actually start to do that, we really, you know, got a chance to really dig deep and learn about it, but also to expand how we do it, I think, in a more efficient and more strategic way. So here's a 40-unit project that we're doing. This is a 150-unit project that we're doing in Highlandtown. It's about to wrap up, I think, first part of next year. So we're really excited about this. This is 150 units, over 160,000 square feet of space. Going back to our partners right now, and the ones that we really cherish in terms of our clients is not only our developers and private clients, but a lot of the organizations that are doing work that is more important maybe than the work that we do. You know, we're working with Maryland Food Bank right now to expand their operations, and this is in construction now, to expand their production and their sort of distribution side of their operation, as well as their kitchen for teaching and learning. And so that's in construction now. And again, it's really, you know, for us, really exciting for us to be able to work for, you know, organizations and companies that are out there, you know, really taking on some of the sort of the complexities of challenges that we're faced out there right now. And particularly, like, this project actually started right in the middle of COVID. So it was just a time when that we see these guys, and we really want to do what we can to do our best to kind of help them through that process of expansion, and that will also help their work going forward. This is a project that's also in construction. It's called The Factory. It's a resource center for LifeBridge Health, and it's in West Baltimore, also in construction. And great thing about this, it's maybe a little hard to see, but it's almost like a little mini city within a city, within a building. It's like a series of 4 or 5 different organizations that are coming together and really kind of packed in there, but all community-based organizations that are really doing a tremendous amount of work in the city to help a lot of individuals, in the most challenging of times. And it's great that we can finally find a home for them and a new place to exist and work and habit. And so this is kind of some of the images of their spaces that, again, we're in construction now. We also are happy to do projects that really involve, our youth, and this is actually a project for Early Head Start for Bon Secours, and it's kind of in the same location, same vicinity around the area of West Baltimore, and so that's also in construction, and it also houses their administrative offices there. So we do a lot of interior work. We also are very excited about these last 2 projects I'll share. This is the old Greyhound station, bus station on Howard Street. If maybe you guys have seen this. It was just recently acquired by Squashwise, a organization that's really helping to sort of engage city youth and bringing them into the fold of sport, particularly of squash, obviously, and really kind of helping in their educational path. And it's, again, like I said, it's just great to work for organizations that are working harder to find a better future for a lot of the kids that are coming to this organization. The last project I'll share is our first church. We've never done a church before, and that was really exciting for us. And this is actually a proposal for the Zion Baptist Church in West Baltimore. It's actually an old grocery store. So we're taking an old grocery store. It's a very industrial space, and we're turning it into a space, sort of a sacred place of worship, as well as like creating a new resource center for their organization and their sort of non-for-profit arm. And so it's been an exciting project to work with an amazing committee of parishioners and community members, and it's just been kind of an enlightening and a fun process for us. So that's just a little bit of what we do, and that's just sort of what's on our table right now. And we have a lot of exciting things coming up in the next few years that are obviously architecturally based in terms of our new clients and new projects that are on the table. But that's just sort of a quick glimpse of what we do. So I'm going to kind of the latter part of what I'm going to talk about today is to dig a little bit deeper into, or just maybe just touch on the idea of what ethos is to us. For us, I think we always start with the idea that we want to define what that means, and for us, I think it's really how we think about our main practices and our core values and our beliefs. Like, how do we work? How do we think about when we do projects and when we work with people and engage people? Like how do we actually start that dialogue, and how do we feel? And what do we do when we start to see like the initial places that people come to us to look at in terms of design? Like, what is, when Will came to us with this building, or if someone comes to us with a site or a design problem, we really want to think about taking things step by step and looking for the best practices for us, that we do this in a way where it's a true process for them. It's engaging, it's collaborative. So one of the main things, obviously, for I'm sure it's pretty general for everyone, is that it takes a village, right? Paulina and I would be nowhere without each other. We would be nowhere without our collaborative partners, our studio, all of the different sort of parts and pieces of people of coming to a project. And we're really, really excited about how that we get a chance to collaborate with different, not only designers, but also makers and, and artists. And so one of the projects that actually kind of explains that a little bit more is a project that we did for Neighborhood Design Center and Baltimore Development Corporation. This is called The Meadow. Right in the middle of COVID, where we were trying to find paths to get the world moving again. One of the things that was great that NDC and BDC had done was to create this sort of competition and invitation to say, hey, we need help to get businesses back and running again, get people outside and working again. And so we responded to that. We were delighted that they allowed us to implement a few projects, and one of the projects was the Meadow. And I want to say that we were definitely taking the leadership of implementing that project, but we wouldn't have done it without the amazing partners, the amazing volunteers that came together on that project. We were just, I think at the end of the day, facilitators and really organizers at the end of the day. And I think that's maybe an architect's trait that we miss a little bit, is that we kind of let go of the leadership sort of button and say, hey, there's actually people that are better and more versed in doing some of this work, and really kind of opening that door to say, hey, we need people, we need hands, we need bodies to come in together and actually do the projects with us. And so, I mean, these are just some of the partners that we had on that. We really focused on a lot of local partners to do the projects, in terms of getting all the labor together, getting all the materials, getting everything that we could. It was all, kind of, internally, our main focus, as well as NDCs and BDCs, to say, hey, we gotta use our city to build things. And so that was really, for us, super important. And so this is kind of what we sort of created there. It was just really just a space of respite. It was a privately owned site that we turned into a place that, before was pretty underutilized, but we got it into a place where it turned into a location that the local businesses could use to have places to hang out, to sort of engage, kind of promote the idea of getting food and getting people to this kind of space, and also trying to get people outside and create event and dialogue again. So that was just really for us, again, an example of, that we couldn't have done this without all the different the parts and pieces of the people that only would make this thing actually make it work. I don't know why I wrote this. I think it's because my daughter told me to this the other day. I think honesty is like a huge thing about what we do as a practice. I think a lot of times we come to things and we see that there's a lot of people that really want to hide, what the beauty, the actual beauty is, or what the reality is. And for us, I think the more honest we can be to projects and to the process, I think it's only going to yield better sort of outcomes. I think the Baltimore is just full of richness and history in all different sort of shapes and sizes, and I think whenever we do projects, we really start there, and we really think about thinking about the purity of spaces and of structures and materials and processes. That if we don't do that, I think we're going to lose a lot of of trying to hide something, covering it up, and losing the sort of the beauty of what we have around us. So we really try to find a way to kind of not necessarily marry new to old, but celebrate old and find a way to make room for the new. A project that we did recently, speaking about honesty, it was, we created this sort of courtyard space for a project of one of our clients, and I remember that we bought material from a local sort of material that we thought was corten. And we put it up, and we were just imagining, and we were envisioning a space that was going to be like really, a very orange kind of corten, like a really kind of nice still corten courtyard. And we bought like the connecting pieces, and they were like, we're going to make this thing just like this really vibrant orange sort of corten steel courtyard. And we realized a couple of months later, it was like, well, those pieces rusted, but the other pieces didn't rust. And I noticed that, oh, it's not actually Corten, it's actually another material that doesn't corrode. But at the end of the day, we were like, I think at the time, we're like, we meant to do that. But I remember later down the road, it was like, we just need to accept certain things that, hey, if there were accidents, there were things that we couldn't control, are sometimes things that we want to accept, right? And some things actually became, more exciting and more of a story than originally anticipated, same thing that goes with this space. It's like, we walked into this space and you're like, when you're approached to a wall like this, you're kind of going like, gosh, what can we do as architects to do anything? There's nothing we could do. Mario's giving me the thing. All right, I don't have much to say more, but there's only a few more slides. What does that mean? I'm not good at what I'm not good at. Yeah, so humbleness. I think we want to always try to think about that I'm not an expert at everything. We're not experts at everything, so we want to engage people that are the experts, and I think that's part of our thinking is that the more the collaborative effort we can do there and bring people together. That's kind of that thing. One quick story. I told Evan I'd have his head in the presentation. The one, just a real quick thing, Evan, I pulled Evan out of a privy to do a quick drone shot, because he was doing drone photography and video a lot, and I wanted him to come and shoot the meadow, and he comes on site, and you guys see Evan, you can't miss him, he's about 7'5", and I'm sorry, I'm not showing the best part of him, I'm showing the back side of him, but the front side is just as nice, but I put this next to this slide because I was like, I'm not good at what I'm not good at, right? So when he was taking photos of our site, and then he's throwing the drone around, and then when he was done, it's almost like he called to the drone like Game of Thrones style, like the dragon sort of landed on his hand, and I was like, look at my crew member, he's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like he stopped what he was doing, was like, do you see this guy like just letting this like fluttering blade like fly into his hand like that? That's like I was pretty amazed, because I'm good at what I'm not good at what I'm not good at. I bought a drone, and the first thing I did, I crashed it. So I was like, again, a small example of like, I should, there's other people that are experts. I'll always, I don't need to do everything. We don't need to do everything, right? As well as the same thing about humbleness is about ego as well. And I couldn't find a better word for it. It was like, I think also to be very proud about what you do and the value, and make sure that what you do, you're excited about, you have an ego about your expertise and your value, and so it's on the same lines of being humble. It's also to be able to say, hey, I am good at that. We are very good at a lot of things, and we're always going to say that, and we're always going to boast that. But then we're also not good at certain things, and we're also going to accept that and own that too. So I couldn't find the best image for that, but I was like, that looked kind of savage. So that's our crew. That's Pavlina, and that's probably after a lot of drinks. And then last thing, for the thing that we do in our studio, the thing that we always say is like, you got to party as hard as you work, right? So when we're working in the studio, our studio and our people are working super hard. They're day in, day out, they own their work. And for us, it's, you have to be able to be happy to do when you're doing your work, and you have to be inspired. We take pilgrimages to places. This is when we did a series of trips with the studio. We went to Dia Beacon. We actually took Will to kind of talk about this space, and we said, hey, Will, let's go to Dia Beacon. I think you'd enjoy that. We want to make sure that when we go out in the world and do our work, that we're not forgetting that we're surrounded by, amazing spaces, amazing sort of, context and sort of natural, fabric. We always promote the idea that we have to look at things in order to be able to do our work the best way, and sometimes you need to stop and smell the roses, kind of thing. So last thing is exciting project that we're going to be. We hope to invite you guys to. We just wanted a quick announcement that we got approval to purchase this property in Fells Point, and we just got approval like literally yesterday, and so we're excited about it, yeah. And it's kind of been a derelict building for the last 4 years. As you can see on the inside of the library, it's really sort of kind of beat up and left for dead kind of thing. We really want to create this sort of new kind of space that not only will house our studio, but also be a place that we can actually invite partners and other tenants, other makers, and really make a place that actually could be something that would challenge the way that we think about practice, and we're not just an architectural office, but we're actually a place that we're trying to make spaces and communities and resources that we feel that could be a place that we can find. Well, it's really hard to see, but terribly hard to see, but a space that we can give back to the community and have that. So we're excited about that. You'll hear more about this, yeah, that's all I got. So that's it. Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Good morning. Thank you for the speech. My question kind of tying to a few things that you mentioned today in regards to ego, accepting accountability. How do you, as a leader, also you mentioned understanding the things you're good at and the things that you're not good at. So kind of tying all of those things together, how do you, as a leader, trust people to help bring your vision to life? Like you said, knowing that, hey, we could potentially screw up here, but this thing is going to last forever, and know your names on it and things like that. So at what point, or what took you to the point to become comfortable trusting other people to help bring your vision to life?
That's a great question. I think I just started to finally just let go. I mean, part of it was that, I'm sure a lot of people are the same with us, is like when you start a company, you start doing your own stuff in practice, you can't help but you want to do everything, right? You want to touch everything. You have the quality you want. If you know the quality you want, you feel like you just have to do it all, right? But at one point that can't sustain itself, right? If you want to grow, you want to evolve, you want to take your work to a certain place. So we learned very quickly that my watch is freaking out. That's what it was. We're learning really quickly that we have to let go. We have to trust, and the only way to trust is to trust, right? There's no I can't find a person to say, hey, I know that person's going to do what they can do. I mean, they can have a great resume, but you can't know that you can trust them until they actually try it. Actually, get their hands dirty, get burnt, get in the fire. So I think we definitely have this place where we meet people, we bring people together, we collaborate, we give them the benefit of the doubt that, hey, they have a great background. They come from a very strong practice. They know what they're doing. Yes, they have an experience, but we don't necessarily stick to oh, you've been doing it for 30 years, and that you must be an expert, right? That doesn't, for us, that doesn't make any sense, right? That means you haven't been changing the paradigm. You haven't been doing things differently. You haven't been rethinking things. So you've been doing it for 1 year. You're fresh. I want to hear what you got to say, because maybe you look at this differently. So for us, I think is that trust is like you have to just let go sometimes, and to be a good leader about that. Like I think someone told us what's the best way to be a good leader? It's like, well, just maybe stop leading everything, right, and let go, and create sub leaders, create new leaders that'll take ownership to it. And the more trust and the more ownership you give to that person, then they'll step up. If they don't step up, then you get rid of it. You take it away, right? But you won't know until you try, right? So I think it was just a mental thing. Like we just had to say, hey, we got to let go. We got to try and let people take that over and take ownership to that and experiment and play. And sometimes it succeeded, sometimes it failed. But at one point, I wanted to sleep too. So it's like, at one point we had to grow in a way where we had to be healthy. We had to be, So it's about that. It's like you can't trust until you trust, right?
Hi, I'm super blown away by what I saw and how you talked about it, and so I wanted to ask about kind of how you think of what sacred means. And it seems to me there's something in there about like worship of the everyday or worship of residue. And thinking about worship also made me kind of giggle to myself about the church in West Baltimore, seeing the iconic Barcelona chairs in the juxtaposition of a disused grocery store in a food desert, right? So I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about like what worship means as part of your ethos and how you're trying to bring that to people.
Man, those are great questions. You should be up here. Damn. No, I think a lot of it I attribute worship to how we treat with the sort of the, I don't know, I'm going to tie this to historic preservation. I know, and I don't know if this is a touchy subject, but for us, like, when we walk into a space like this or walk into certain spaces, some people say, well, that's not contributing, that's not historic, it's not a landmark. It's like, why isn't it not? This building, this structure, particularly this one, has history. Things happened here. That wall has been through a lot. That wall, if that wall could talk, it had things to say. So I think when we walk into spaces like this, spaces of worship is like kind of like celebrating, what could have happened here. In my opinion, it's not necessarily like, oh, we're gonna deem it a church. Now it's gonna be something else and something special. It's, with this physically in this source, the atmosphere of this space had something happening here. It was making things, and now it's going to continue to make things, but also it's going to create a new dialogue. So every space we look at, we want to say, hey, how can we preserve the history of what may have happened there? Not necessarily like, hey, that's a beautiful detail. That's this exquisite thing that we have to remake again. Like, preservation for us is, I think, is I don't want to say a bad word, but I think sometimes we're looking at the wrong things at times. History and sort of the fragments of residue for us is exciting. Those mundane things that you're speaking of is like those are everyday things, and that's what how do we not celebrate the things that you're doing every day? Like, how does Will not celebrate every day he's hanging out with his crew, doing the work he's doing? Like that's exciting. Like looking at the sawdust on the ground, like all those moments are exciting, and he's making history. He's making stains, and he will make new stains into this floor, and that's exciting, for us. So at the church space, it's a building that we will celebrate some of those instances, but a lot of it's also transformation. There has to be some transformation, and that building, I would say, needs more transformation than this building. So that's why it may not look like the old grocery store anymore, because we just need to make sure that, hey, the clients feel that we can own a space like that, and that we have transformation. Here, it's like the transformation sometimes is that you don't touch it. That's the best transformation. Like sometimes you tell an architect, you don't need to design, like over design. I'm sure there's maybe an architect in here that always, that we all have that mentality that we have to design, we have to cover up, we have to no, we don't. Like there's nothing here to cover up. Architecture is happening. It's already happening here. How do we find a way to kind of frame it? I think that's the best way to think about it.